You're listening to CBC Online at cbchs.org.
Three, two, one, CBC Online. We're talking with the CBC varsity soccer coach, Terry Michler. And St. Louis community really lost a huge soccer legend in Harry Keough. Talk about your reminiscence of Harry. I know you've known him for many years.
You know what? I mean, Harry was one of a kind. There's no doubt about that. And he was one of a kind for a lot of reasons. For what he did in terms of his accomplishments, for what he was as a person that he was, for what he was to the community. You know, I mean, Harry was born and raised in St. Louis, and he went from, you know, South St. Louis to the World Cup, you know, to World National Hall of Fame. Everything along the way, every step along the way, you know, Harry did it and mastered it, and he always had time for everybody. That was the beautiful thing about Harry, is that he always had time for anybody. If it has anything to do with soccer, you could count on Harry to be there, you know, and be a big part of it and make a contribution. You know, he wasn't just there to sit around and say, "Oh, there's Harry in the corner." No, Harry did stuff. He was active. So St. Louis, you know, was very, very fortunate to have Harry, you know, with us for all the years, and for all the contribution that he brought to St. Louis and to soccer in St. Louis. But, you know, beyond that, I mean, through the whole country of the United States, and Harry's known beyond the borders of the U.S. I mean, Harry's a worldwide personality. He's a true soccer ambassador. There's no doubt about that.
We'll talk about, you've had a lot of players go on to play for Harry, and certainly reports you got back that the guys enjoyed playing for him. He was a fair guy and just put the best team out there.
Well, you know, a couple things about Harry. First of all, Harry played the game. He played at a high level. You know, he was successful. He was a champion. He was a captain. He was a leader. You know, and he played all through his adult life too. He played as long as he could. You know, he had the passion for the game, and he wanted that. You know, that's what he wanted out of his players. He wanted his players that really enjoyed the game, you know, and played and competed, played to win, you know, and could play at a high level. I got a great story because my very, very first team at CBC back in '71, '72, my best player on the team was a good kid, scored 32 goals that year. And I had talked to Harry. I said, you know, are you interested in this guy? He goes, oh, I know him very well. He said he's a good player, but he's not good enough for my team. So, you know, right there told me that he had a definite standard that he was going to adhere to, you know, and to be good at one level was good at that level, but may not be good enough for the next level. You know, so I always respected that, you know, and over the years, Harry always proved that, you know, he always was true to that.
If you look at his heyday in the 80s, he had some teams that competed for national titles. They were really the cream of the crop, talk of the town, then with Bob Gelker at SIU. So talk about just Harry and what he meant to the collegiate soccer map here in St. Louis.
Well, you know, he started at Flo Valley and was very successful at Flo Valley. So the thing about people like Harry is that they've experienced success in their own personal experiences that they've had, and they know what it takes, you know. And success always involves a number of factors, and you've got to have the talent pool first of all to work from. Then you've got to have the motivation from the people. Have to be motivated. They've got to be competitive, and then you've got to have a person in charge of it to make sure that it's always going in the right direction. And sometimes the important thing for that guy is just to get out of the way. And I think, you know, a player who becomes a coach sometimes knows the time when to get out of the way and when to get into it, you know. So Harry was always able to get the best players. And when you're winning and competing for national championships, the best players want to go there. You know that. So you've got your pick of the litter, so to speak. And then you take the ingredient that Harry brings to it, you know, and kept everybody competitive and kept the team alive, you know, and had the direction and the focus to take them over the hump when they needed to get over the hump.
And personally, and you obviously, when you're in the business for 40 plus years, you get to know a guy like Harry. You obviously lost a friend. You know, what kind of sadness are you feeling just over the loss of Harry Keough?
Well, you know, that's a tough question because I think Harry, you know, made himself available to so many people. I mean, I was lucky because, like I said, I got to know Harry early on in my career. I got to work with him at the Mid-America soccer camps, which were pretty much his camp. You know, and Harry was always supportive of me personally, you know, and what I did, you know, and we always conversed freely, you know, and you know, Harry was a friend, you know. Harry was a friend to a lot of people. So, you know, as we all get older, the people that came ahead of us, they get older, you know, and you know, we know that inevitability is that we're not all going to be around forever. So the thing about it is that you just cherish the times you had with him, the experiences that you shared, and the memories and things that he left behind. So I have a lot of pleasant memories and reflections when I think of Harry, because of all that he stood for and all that he meant to me.
That's CBC Soccer coach Terry Michler reflecting on the great Harry Keough. We'll check you out next time.
CBC, Men for Tomorrow, Brothers for Life.